All right, guys, so now we come to the fun part, okay? At least in my opinion, this is the funnest part of the project, and that's fetching data from the database and displaying it in the front-facing website. So all of these listings we added in the admin area, these are all in the database. In fact, if we go to PG admin and we go travel down here to our database and to schemas, public, and tables, and we look in our listings table, if we go ahead and just choose view edit data and then all rows, you can see all of our fields in our database. Okay, so we want this stuff to display here because right now this is just HTML. It's nothing, it's just markup. So in order to do that, we want to open up our VS Code, and you want to open this file. This is the views.py that's inside your listings app or your listings folder. And we already have index, listing, search. Index is what we're looking at. It's displaying the listings.html. Okay, and if you forget why this is displaying, it's because in our urls.py we have just /listings. Okay, this represents /listings, and it's calling the index method inside the view file. Okay, I know it's been a little while, so you might have forgot that. But yeah, that's why this is displaying. So the idea here is we fetch our listings using our model, and then we insert it into our template, and then we can just simply loop through and output the listings that are in the database. And in order to do that, we need to bring in our listing model. So we're going to say from.models, we want to import listing. Okay, and we can bring in any model we want into any file we want, and we can use it. So down here, actually before I fetch the listings, I just want to show you guys, and if you've used any kind of view rendering or any kind of MVC related framework in any language, you've probably seen this before, but you can pass in values into a template, and we do that with a dictionary. So let's say I wanted to do like name Brad. Okay, so I'll save that, and then I want to go to this file here, listings.html, and let's say right here in this h1 I want to output that value. I would do double curly braces and say name. So now if I go back and we reload, you can see that it outputs Brad. So that's how we can pass values in. So obviously I don't want to pass a name in or anything. I want to pass in the listings, but I just wanted to show you how that works. Now usually what I do and what you'll see a lot is instead of actually putting the dictionary as the second parameter, we'll create a variable with the dictionary and then pass that in. So for instance, we'll go and we'll say not listings, context, and set that to that dictionary and then pass in context. All right, so you see this format a lot. Now we don't want to pass in name, we want to pass in our listing. So let's fetch them from the database. Okay, so the way that we do that is creating a variable. I'm going to call it listings. I'm going to set it to the model name, which is listing, and then .objects.all. Okay, now when I save this, you'll see we get a couple variables, a couple errors. This is just a warning. We haven't used the listings. We're going to use that right now actually, so I can get rid of that. I'm going to say listings, and for the key we'll say listings and save. Now we still get this right here. It says listing has no object member, and this isn't an actual error. What's happening here is VS Code is not picking up that. It's not picking up the Django special functions. And the pylint that we have installed, the linter, doesn't recognize it. But there is something called pylint-Django that we can install. So if you're not in VS Code or you're not getting this error, don't worry about doing this. But if you are, just make sure you're in your virtual environment. Let's do a pip install, and let's say pylint. Pylint-Django. Okay, now just doing that isn't going to get rid of the error. In fact, I forget exactly what to put in here. Let me just search this real quick. So we'll say Django has no objects member, And this first Stack Overflow, basically they're having the same problem. And you can see we just did this. Now we want to add this in our VS Code. So this python.linting.pylon.args, and then pass that in. So let's grab that and let's put that in our settings. So you can go down to the gear here and go to settings, or you can do control or command comma. And then I'm just going to paste this over here. Let's see. I'll go like right here and paste this. Whoops, we actually don't want these. So we'll just do that. Okay, so let me save that, and let's go back to our views.py, and now that red line is gone. Okay, and it wouldn't have given us an error or anything. It's just linting. It's just in the editor. Okay, but that's how you can fix this. So this will fetch all of the listings. We don't have to do any raw like SQL queries or anything like that. And then we're just passing it into the dictionary here, and then we pass that into context into the template. So now let's go to listings, and I want to go down to where we have this section for our listings, and we want to loop through these. Okay, inside our template we want to loop through and output this from here to basically the first listing. Okay, we're not going to need to have 6 of these in here. We just want one loop with this, basically this section of HTML with some dynamic variables here. Okay, so let me see. We're trying to figure out where to put this. So we'll go right above where it says listing 1. So right in the row here, and let's do our tags. And let's say if listings. I just want to first of all check to see if there are any listings, and I'm gonna just do it here now, and then I'll move the markup up here after. So I'm gonna say if, and then let's do an else. Okay, else, and then let's do an end if. Okay, so if the listings, then end if. Let's take care of the else. And what this means is if there's no listings in the database. So if that's true, then I'm going to output a div with the class of call md12, which will take up just the whole row. And then I'm just going to put a paragraph here that says no listings available. Okay, now if there are listings, then that's when we want to loop through them. And to do that, we use a for loop, and we can do that with the Jinja template syntax. So let's put in our tags, and let's say for listing in listings. And then we want to end our for loop, so we do that with end for. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab everything from listing 1. So this div down to where it ends here. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here in the loop. Okay, and then we can get rid of all of the other listings. So listing 1, all of this stuff, up to listing 6, which ends right there, I believe. Let me make sure that ends there. So I'll actually delete up to listing 5. I just want to make sure that this ends at that div. Yeah, it does. Okay, so we want to just delete that as well. So this just made this file a hell of a lot shorter. Okay, so now if the listings were fetched from the database and were passed into here and we're looping through them correctly, it should show 6 listings but all have the same markup because we haven't added anything dynamic in here yet. So let's at least try that. We'll save, and let's go back to our browser and go to that listings page and reload, and there we go. So you can see that it's showing 6 listings, but they're all this drivewood circle because it's just static markup. We haven't added any dynamic values in here. Okay. So in the next video, what I want to do is replace all of this stuff, like the hard-coded price and the title, address, all this stuff. We're going to replace this with dynamic values so that it actually shows the correct data, because right now it's not. All right, so we'll do that in the next one.